How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just want to come on here for a while and give him a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite's special event, Road Rager. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match one, it was Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall in a South Beach strap match. That was a great match. But the ending to it, Cody Rhodes went over cause Cody Rhodes touched all four of the top turnbuckles. Match two, it was the Pinnacle, which are Wardlow, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler versus the Inner Circle, which are Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Pinnacle went over because Wardlow pinned Jake Hager with the big rig from Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. Well, after the match, as Wardlow, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler were celebrating their victory, Conan came in the ring and attacked Wardlow from behind with his sock filled with balls or whatever, and so Wardlow, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler turned around and distracted Conan, and Tully Blanchard came in the ring and attacked Conan from behind with a chop block, and Santana and Ortiz came in the ring, and Santana and Ortiz came in the ring, and Wardlow, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Tully Blanchard all retreated, and Santana and Ortiz were tending to Conan and everything, which that was cool. Match 3, it was Andrade El Idolo versus Matt Sydal. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Andrade El Idolo went over with the El Idolo. Well, after the match, Andrade El Idolo attacked Matt Sydal with his, tied his arms with his belt and done a butterfly like armbar to Matt Sydal and locked it in for a while, and Andrade El Idolo let go of Matt Sydal and was getting ready to attack referee Bryce Remsburg. Well, referee Bryce Remsburg retreated, and Andrade El Idolo got out of the ring, and Andrade El Idolo and Vicky Guerrero celebrated while Andrade El Idolo's personal assistant just stood there and everything, which that was cool. Match 4, it was Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander versus the Blade and the Bunny. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander went over cause Chris Statlander pinned the Bunny with the Big Bang Theory. And match 5, which was the main event, it was the Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson, versus Penta El Cerro Miedo and Eddie Kingston in a street fight for the AEW Tag Team titles. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Young Bucks went over and retained the AEW Tag Team titles. Because Matt Jackson pinned Eddie Kingston. Match 5, which was the main event, it was the Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson, versus Pena El Cerro Miedo and Eddie Kingston in a street fight for the AEW Tag Team titles. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Young Bucks went over and retained the AEW Tag Team titles because Matt and Nick Jackson pinned Eddie Kingston with the super kick from Matt Jackson. Now, besides the matches, Shawn Spears cut a promo talking about how his chair shot on Sammy Guevara last week was the second best chair shot in AEW history, and was saying the reason he done it is because of Sammy Guevara's ego and everything, and Sammy Guevara popped up out of nowhere, attacked Shawn Spears with a steel chair, laying him out, and Sammy Guevara got the chair, sat down on it, and said, "I found you, bitch. This is far from over," and everything, which that was cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed Kenny Omega and Don Callis, and Tony Schiavone was getting ready to ask Don Callis about Kenny Omega and everything, and Don Callis took the microphone and made Tony Schiavone step aside, and Don Callis was pretty much putting Kenny Omega over, saying he was the god of professional wrestling, and he's beaten the likes of Jon Moxley, Rey Fenix, and Jungle Boy to retain the AEW title and everything. And Don Callis also talked about how Kenny Omega, how him and Kenny Omega have had to hire an entourage to carry all the titles, for the AEW title, the Impact Wrestling title, and the AAA Mega title, and everything. And Don Callis also talked about how Kenny Omega is out of competitors to defend the AEW title against and everything, and the Dark Order, which are Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, 5, 10, and Colt Cabana came out, and Evil Uno got on the microphone and was asking Kenny Omega questions, why he's been ignoring the crowd, and why he's been ignoring Hangman Page and everything, and Kenny Omega got on the microphone and was talking shit towards Evil Uno, and then Kenny Omega asked Evil Uno what was the capital of Thailand, and Evil Uno fell for it because he thought Kenny Omega was playing trivia, but Kenny Omega executed a low blow to Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson got in the ring and fought with Kenny Omega, and John Silver, Alex Reynolds, 5, 10, and Colt Cabana were getting ready to get in the ring too, but the Good Brothers, which are Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, and Michael Nakazawa came out and attacked John Silver, Alex Reynolds, 5, 10, and Colt Cabana from behind, beating the shit out of them, laying them out, and Kenny Omega beat the shit out of Stu Grayson, and so Evil Uno and Stu Grayson retreated, and the Good Brothers and Michael Nakazawa got in the ring with Kenny Omega and Don Callis, but Hangman Page came out, and Kenny Omega shoved Michael Nakazawa into Hangman Page, but Hangman Page knocked Michael Nakazawa out with a forearm shot to the face. Then Hangman Page got in the ring and beat the shit out of Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. Well, before Hangman Page came out, Kenny Omega, well, the Good Brothers held Evil Uno down, and Kenny Omega was getting ready to attack Evil Uno with the AEW title, but Hangman Page came out and knocked out Michael Nakazawa with a forearm shot to the face, and Hangman Page got in the ring and beat the shit out of Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson and knocked them out of the ring. And Hangman Page was getting ready to attack Kenny Omega, but Carl Anderson got back on the apron, and Hangman Page knocked Carl Anderson back off the apron, and Kenny Omega retreated, and Hangman Page stayed in the ring, and so Kenny Omega and Hangman Page stared each other down and everything, which that was cool. Jim Ross interviewed Darby Allin and Ethan Page, and Jim Ross was asking Darby Allin and Ethan Page what has happened in their pasts for them to hold in this animosity and everything. And Ethan Page was talking about Ethan Page was going on about like the cocky heel that he is, and was talking shit about Darby Allin and everything, and was saying that Darby Allin deserves every beating that he's gotten and everything. And Darby Allin was talking about how his first year in the business of professional wrestling was Ethan Page's 12th year and everything. And Darby Allin was talking about how in 1 year he's been successful when it took Ethan Page 12 years to be successful. And Darby Allin was talking about how he grew up with nothing, and how he's had to live in his car while Ethan Page got married, got married, had kids, and lived his dream of professional wrestling and everything. And Ethan Page was talking shit, saying that Darby Allin was absolutely right about everything he said, but was saying that if it wasn't for him, Darby Allin wouldn't have made it in professional wrestling and would still be living in his car and everything. And Ethan Page was talking about how talking about next week on AEW Dynamite, the coffin match between him and Darby Allin will be happening. And Darby Allin continued talking shit and everything, and then Jim Ross was saying that next week wasn't going to be pretty because where you two want to end each other's careers and everything, which that was cool. The Good Brothers, which are Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, cut a promo, and Carl Anderson was talking about how he was once the IWGP United States Champion and everything, and was talking shit about Jon Moxley being the IWGP United States title, the IWGP United States Champion and everything. And Carl Anderson was talking about how he was going to how he was going to beat Jon Moxley and take back the IWGP United States title and everything, which that was cool. Chris Jericho and MJF had a face-to-face confrontation, and MJF was talking shit about Chris Jericho, saying that he once looked up to him and everything, and how Chris Jericho how he's beaten Chris Jericho twice, but Chris Jericho's wanting another match and everything, and Chris Jericho was going on saying how he should have let the fat bastard that tried to attack MJF to attack him. And Chris Jericho was talking about how he was going to beat the shit out of MJF and everything. And MJF was talking about how Chris Jericho's been waiting on his stipulations and everything. And MJF brought up the feud that happened in AEW many moons ago between Chris Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley. And MJF reminded Chris Jericho about everything that Jon Moxley had to go through to get the match against him, where Jon Moxley had to go through every member of the Inner Circle to get to Chris Jericho. And MJF was saying that he's going to do the same thing to Chris Jericho. He's going to add stipulations of that Chris Jericho will have to face all the other members of the Pinnacle, which are Shawn Spears, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Wardlow, to be able to get his match with MJF. So Chris Jericho pretty much said that he'll go through every stipulation that MJF throws at him. He'll stand in front of a tractor trailer, swim in an ocean of piranhas, and have sex with MJF's mom and everything. But then MJF named the stipulation that Chris Jericho will have to face all the other members of the Pinnacle, which are Shawn Spears, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Wardlow, to get to MJF. Well, Chris Jericho was saying that if he can't beat all the other members of the Pinnacle and MJF, then he has no reason to be in AEW anymore. And Chris Jericho was saying that he was going to beat the members of the Pinnacle. Chris Jericho was saying that he was going to beat the other members of the Pinnacle's ass and then beat MJF's ass and everything as well. Then Chris Jericho signed the contract and threw it at MJF, and then MJF was saying that he wasn't born in the shitty state of Miami, Florida, and he came from New York and everything, and was saying that where he comes from, in order for a deal to happen, they have to shake hands. And Chris Jericho was hesitant on shaking MJF's hand, but MJF demanded Chris Jericho to shake his hand or the deal was off. So Chris Jericho shook MJF's hand, and then Chris Jericho executed the Judas effect on MJF and knocked MJF out and everything. Which that was cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed Britt Baker and Rebel, and Tony Schiavone was getting ready to ask Britt Baker about her getting attacked by Nyla Rose and last week on AEW Dynamite and everything, and Britt Baker was talking about how the match of her and Rebel against Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero last week on AEW Dynamite was unacceptable because it caused Rebel to get injured. And she was blaming Tony Khan for making that match happen because Vicky Guerrero brought in Andrade El Idolo. And Britt Baker was talking about how she was going to beat Nyla Rose's ass and retain the AEW Women's title and everything on Fyter Fest Night 2 and everything. Which that was cool. Let me see. Matt Hardy and Christian Cage cut a promo, and Matt Hardy was talking about how everything he does and everywhere he goes, Christian Cage does and goes. And Matt Hardy was talking about how Christian Cage turned his back on him in the 21-man casino battle royal at Double or Nothing 3 and everything. And Matt Hardy, well, Christian Cage was talking about how he came to AEW to outwork everyone and talked about not coming the reason why he didn't come to AEW to upstage Matt Hardy and everything. And then Matt Hardy issued a challenge to Christian Cage, and Christian Cage accepted the challenge and said, "If you can't be at my level, get out of my way," and everything. And everything, which that was cool. Tony Schiavone interviewed Arn Anderson, and Tony Schiavone was pretty much saying to Arn Anderson that Arn Anderson must be proud because of the success of Cody Rhodes and the success of his son Brock Anderson and everything. And Arn Anderson took the microphone and was saying that he was happy to be in the state of Miami, Florida, and was saying that it was great to be in front of a live crowd again and everything. And Arn Anderson was getting ready to talk and everything, but the lights went out and Malachi Black appeared, and Malachi Black attacked Arn Anderson with the Black Mass, and Cody Rhodes came in the ring all pissed off at Malachi Black, and Cody Rhodes was getting ready to tend to Arn Anderson, but Malachi Black attacked Cody Rhodes with the Black Mass. So Cody Rhodes and Arn Anderson were laid out, and Malachi Black stood tall and left the ring and everything. Excuse me. Which that was cool. Excuse me. Okay. Ricky Starks came out with security. Ricky Starks came out with security, and Ricky Starks was talking about how after Ricky Starks came out with his security to the ring, Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook came out, and they were confused of everything that was happening. And Ricky Starks was saying the reason he brought the security guards out is because where he's not medically cleared yet, and he was trying to prevent Brian Cage from putting his hands on him and everything. Well, Taz came out, and Taz was pretty much saying to Ricky Starks, "Hey, we talked about this. Why are you doing this? This is embarrassing." And Ricky Starks was saying that he didn't trust Brian Cage and everything because Brian Cage wasn't a team player and everything. And Ricky Starks was saying that he was going to kick Brian Cage's ass and take the FTW title, and that once he's FTW champion, he's going to party like a champion, and the W in FTW stood for wife, and Ricky Starks was saying that he was gonna have sex with Brian Cage's wife, Melissa Santos, and everything. And Brian Cage came out, Ricky Starks retreated, and Brian Cage attacked Ricky Starks' security guards, and Brian Cage stood tall while Taz, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Hook looked on and everything, which that was cool. Jungle Boy was celebrating his 50th win in AEW and everything, which that was cool. And Tony Schiavone attempted to interview Jorge Masvidal, Amanda Nunes, and Dan Lambert of American Top Team. Before Tony Schiavone could get a word in, Dan Lambert took the microphone and was talking shit and went in the ring, and Dan Lambert was talking about how he was he's an old school professional wrestling fan, and how he was skeptical on coming to watch an AEW show, and was saying that an hour into the show he was disappointed and was saying that uh, if he knew that this shit was going to happen, he would have went to California to get his client Daniel Cormier ready to knock Conor McGregor out in the UFC fight coming up again, and was saying that and he also would have just stayed home and put in VHS tapes of the 70s and 80s of professional wrestling, and was saying that he grew up watching Gordon Soley commentate great wrestling and watched the likes of Terry Funk, the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, Eddie Graham, um, um, and Jack Briscoe go at it and everything. And Dan Lambert was saying that he was promised by Tony Khan that they were going to do that he was going to do AEW right and everything, but he was proved wrong and everything. And Dan Lambert was saying that professional wrestling has went downhill since the late 90s and that AEW sucks and everything. And Lance Archer and Jake the Snake Roberts came out, and Jake the Snake Roberts stayed on the stage, and Lance Archer got in the ring and knocked Dan Lambert out with a forearm shot to the face. Then Lance Archer picked Dan Lambert up, set him on the top rope, punched him in the face, and then Lance Archer executed the blackout to Dan Lambert and laid him out and everything. And so Lance Archer and Jake the Snake Roberts stood tall in the ring while Dan Lambert was laid out and everything, which that was cool. Now, besides all that, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, besides all that, Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur done commentary throughout the whole show. They done awesome as usual. And Don Callis done guest commentary along with Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur during the match between the Young Bucks versus Penta El Cerro Miedo and Eddie Kingston in the street fight for the AEW Tag Team titles. Don Callis done great on guest commentary. The referees for the event were Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Aubrey Edwards. Okay. Paul Turner refereed the match between Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall in the South Beach strap match. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between The Pinnacle versus The Inner Circle. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Andrade El Idolo versus Matt Sydal. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Orange Cassidy and the The referees for the event were Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Aubrey Edwards. Paul Turner refereed the match between Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall in the South Beach strap match. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between The Pinnacle versus The Inner Circle. Bryce Remsburg refereed the match between Andrade El Idolo versus Matt Sydal. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander versus The Blade and the Bunny. And Rick Knox refereed the match between the Young Bucks versus Penta El Cerro Miedo and Eddie Kingston in the street fight for the AEW Tag Team titles. All the referees done awesome as usual. Now, the match card for next week's All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite's special event, Fyter Fest Night 1. It's going to be Darby Allin versus Ethan Page in a coffin match. Jon Moxley versus... the match card for next week's All Elite Wrestling... The match card for next week's All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite's special event, Fyter Fest Night 1. It's going to be Darby Allin versus Ethan Page in a coffin match. Jon Moxley versus Carl Anderson for the IWGP United States title. Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks for the FTW title. Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Wait just a minute. The match card for next week's All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite's special event, Fyter Fest Night 1, it's going to be Darby Allin versus Ethan Page in a coffin match. Matt Hardy versus Christian Cage. Jon Moxley versus Carl Anderson for the IWGP United States title. Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks for the FTW title. And Penelope Ford versus Yuka Sakazaki. Now, besides the matches that have been announced, Hangman Page will be appearing live. Now, the match card for next week's All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite... The match card for next week's All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite's special event, Fyter Fest Night 1, looks like it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it and everything. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give them a review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dynamite's special event, Road Rager. Like I said, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road.